let's have a miso soup and talk about my fitness journey. I've been training for 10 years now, so that's a big chunk. And my training has changed throughout that whole period. I have not had one set plan for 10 years. So I thought we'd go through all the little different chapters of the training I did and why I did them. Let's start nice and simple with chapter 1, Muay Thai. For university, I did not train at all. Like, I wasn't a particularly active kid. I was one of those kids that was kind of like, sit with my little books, Harry Potter, any kind of random books, just sat and read. So I wasn't active by any means. I didn't even really enjoy PE or any of that stuff. I think I actually used to dread it and try and get out of the classes. But when I got to uni, I ended up taking Muay Thai. Why Muay Thai specifically? So I did some finance internships and I was in this like environment that felt very foreign to me. It felt super stressful, very high pressure, and I noticed that different people were able to manage stress in different ways. Like some were a lot better than others. And I remember asking one person once, how are you so good at managing stress? And they were like, well, I have an outlet. So their outlet was MMA. And I was like, great, here we go, that's what I'm gonna try out. So I went back to uni, I found a little Muay Thai club, and I remember that first class, I was terrified, like actually terrified. But I went to the class, I was really, really bad at it. I had no hip mobility, I was awful at all of it. But I did know that it was fun, even though I was really bad at it. And I knew that the better I got at it, the more fun I would find it. Anyways, I knew that if I stuck with it, this would be something that I'd really love. So I did. I got through all the really bad sessions. I got through the whole like being embarrassed of being terrible, not knowing anyone. And I stuck with it for like 2 to 3 years. It was super, super fun. That's like the number one thing I'd say about martial arts. Very fun. It's like a game. It's like a video game in real life. So I loved it. And 2, it was fantastic at helping me manage university stress, exam stress. I did maths and economics, so I had a lot of exams, and it really helped that stress management. Also, of course, a lot of cardio, great for my fitness. So there was a lot of benefits to it as well. I loved it so much that I went to Thailand. I trained out there a few times. And then the reason that it worked really well was as a uni student, I could basically go to any classes I want. I would work it around my lectures. I would watch lectures online. I basically controlled my whole schedule. So at some points, I would go twice a day, every day, or twice a day, 6 days a week. Now, the problem came when I got into chapter 2 of my life, which was full-time job. So I went into investment banking, and the hours were roughly 7 to 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. It really would depend on how busy the market was. And initially, I tried really hard to like hold on to Muay Thai. I would still try and make those 7 p.m. classes. I would still try and make that weekend class. I would still try and make that 8 p.m. class. And after a while, I just found it was getting really frustrating because I'd have my boxing gloves with me. I'd have my bag full of clothes, my shin pads. I'd be at the desk. I'd be ready to get up and go. And then something would happen maybe in the US, or something would happen in the news, or an email came through and I just couldn't go. I just wouldn't be able to go. It wasn't the kind of job where you could take an hour off for lunch either, so I couldn't ever train during the day. So what happened is I was getting increasingly frustrated, and that kind of sucked, to be honest, because I really did love it. So I kind of went into a little bit of a down phase where I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just pack it all in. But as soon as I stopped training, I recognized that like stress management was getting worse again, especially because the job was actually even more stressful than my university degree. I needed to find something new, and that's when I joined the gym. I had no idea what I was doing, but I went in anyway. I looked at YouTube, I looked at random things online, probably still not enough. Like if I was doing it again now, I would spend so much more time looking for proper plans online. Anyways, so I pretty much recognized early on that I could not work out in the evenings because I was just super tired. I, as a person, in the evenings, I don't have much energy. I definitely am much better in the morning, which is also why this job suited me at the time, because I can wake up at 5 a.m. and I can train at 6 and I'll be working for 7. But whatever works for you, whether it's training in the morning or training in the evening, I wouldn't worry about it. It's just whatever works your schedule. Anyways, so I ended up going for sessions at 6 a.m. in the morning or 6:15 by the time I'd get into the gym. And I would do a 30 to 40 minute max session. Like there were days when I would miss the first train, or the train would be delayed and I could only do a 20-minute session. So what I did a lot of was circuits, weighted circuits. And you know what, I thought they were super fun, great cardio. Obviously, a lot of that for me was just about feeling good. I didn't necessarily have a visual or aesthetic I was aiming for, but I would go in, I would set up maybe a box jump, kettlebell swings, ab roller, dumbbell overhead press, and I would just superset them, 5 rounds, a minute each, and I would just do that, and that would be like 20 minutes, 25 minutes dependent, and that was me done for the day. And I would get that endorphin rush. Bear in mind I was sat at the desk pretty much all day, so for me, anything that allowed me to move my body was perfect. So I did that for a long time. and I really loved it. But again, bear in mind, a lot of it was just, I need endorphins, I don't have much time, so I'm just gonna do what I can. Chuffed, I am absolutely chuffed. Well, perfect timing. Food's come, so let's go on to chapter 3. So, there was me, I was finally back in my groove. The Muay Thai sadness, I'd gotten over that. I finally got into, I know what I'm doing, I'm circuit training, I'm smashing it. And, which meant that gyms were a no-go. So, I knew, again, that if I don't move, I'm gonna go into a low-stressed version of myself. And that is something that I actively try to work against. And I basically ended up going towards yoga and plyometric body weight training. So yoga, very easy because YouTube had a bunch of videos. You can just set up a mat on the floor. Plyometrics, I would basically go into the garden and I would do a lot of like speed, agility work. I would do hops, I would do broad jumps, I would do short sprints. I would usually do stuff like 15 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and I would just do stuff like that for maybe 15 minutes. The sessions became super short. The yoga was great because I would do like strength-based ones. I really did find that my injuries were healing a lot faster when I was doing more yoga as well. And then I also ended up buying from Amazon, I can show you the one I used, just like adjustable weights, which I incorporated into the mix. So the whole training was yoga, plyometrics, body weight, and some weighted exercises. Because at the end of the day, for me, I was really just trying to seek those endorphins and trying to find a way to move that wasn't too hard to maintain. Especially, obviously, you know, there's a lot going on. Movement was very important for me. Although it wasn't my favorite kind of movement, I did enjoy it. It's just that I found that it was a little bit repetitive. Chapter 4 of the 10-year journey, which is when I went into hypertrophy bodybuilding. Now, I'd never lifted heavy before. I think maybe I tried bits and pieces of bodybuilding style stuff, never stuck with it. And I did, to benefit, see a bunch of really cool plans on hypertrophy. I did a lot of research and I just stuck to the plan for a year. Now, whilst that training was super fun, by the end of the year, I did get kind of bored. And I only say that because I was doing push-pull legs, proper little bro split, but I found that it felt a little bit flat for me. I felt quite heavy. Not heavy weight-wise, just heavy, like I wasn't very functional. You know, I'd gone from doing a lot of movement-based, fast-paced stuff, Muay Thai, circuits, plyometrics, to then going into bodybuilding where for hypertrophy, ideally you take rest between sets. I was taking a 3-minute rest, I was doing some sets. I was training super hard, so I was going to the max, but I just didn't feel like my light, fast self. And that is what led me to chapter 5, which is what we're currently on. And that is bodybuilding plus apocalypse. So bodybuilding, I'll be honest, I think it's great for many reasons. Aesthetically, I liked it. I like the look of putting muscle on, but also for longevity and as you get older, keeping our bones strong, so many benefits in weight training. So I kept that angle. I also do enjoy it, but I've made that angle 3 days, and then the other 2 days I do functional apocalypse training, which basically is anything that I picture that would come in handy for saving you if an apocalypse happened. Now this could be sled pushes, this could be carrying your friend to safety, this could be farmers walks, like carrying supplies. This video is a very good example. I love it. I tend to do one fast day and one slow day. The slow day is heavier weight, and I'm really just focusing on like pushing a super heavy sled or pulling a super heavy sled or doing really heavy farmers walks. And then another day is a much lighter but faster version, like sprinting really fast, carrying something. I do also try to get outside for these sometimes because it does just, you know, help to be outside. Being inside a gym can be a little bit boring sometimes. But this for me is probably the best training this for me is probably the training I've enjoyed the most. The only thing that I'm trying to add more is more of the martial arts, because I do still miss that Muay Thai. So I am adding more boxing bag, which I'll show you guys more of as I keep doing it, but I am gonna probably slot that into the apocalypse session. So, you know, in case I need to punch a zombie or something. So yeah, that is the entirety of my 10-year fitness journey. Don't think that you have to stick to a super rigid schedule your whole life to see progress. Look, you do need a plan, but there's no point in having a plan if you are unable to stick to that plan because uni is too stressful, work is too stressful. It's actually better for us to pick a plan for you that adapts to your lifestyle and the amount of time you have, because that's how we'll see progress, by you actually doing it. So lesson 1 from chapter 1 Muay Thai, gotta learn how to fight, just so we can beat up some zombies, you know? Also super fun, but hitting the boxing bag or hitting pads, shadow boxing, that's gonna be baked into apocalypse training. Chapter 2, circuits. Staying light and fast and being able to move with weight, super underrated. That's going to stay in Apocalypse. Chapter 3, yoga and plyometrics. I am putting mobility into everything I do for the rest of my life because injury will not defeat me, touch wood, please don't jinx it. Chapter 4, bodybuilding. You gotta lift weights for longevity. Gotta keep our bones strong, so we will forever be lifting weights. Chapter 5, that's the wrap up. We're putting all of those lessons into Apocalypse and we're gonna carry on what we learned from chapter 4 in bodybuilding. Now, it's time for me to eat my bento box. This is tofu, by the way. I love tofu. And asparagus tempura and veggie gyoza. So I'm gonna love you guys and leave you until the next one. But in the interim, go to the gym. If you're feeling sad right now, don't worry, this too shall pass. Mwah.